Question of the day, people. Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs versus Billy Joe Saunders. Who wins this fight and why? Please let me know in the comment section of this video down below. I would really appreciate it. Now, as I said in previous videos, I believe that guys like Daniel Jacobs, Demetrius Andrade, and even the Charlo brothers are more complicated fights for someone like Billy Joe Saunders than Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez are. Now, I know both Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez are regarded as the two best middleweights in the world. I understand this. I get it. But I don't necessarily think they are the most talented guys in the division. The reason I believe Billy Joe Saunders will have an easier time with guys like that is because style-wise, Gennady Golovkin is a pressure fighter. You know what you're going to get with him. He goes right down the line. He comes forward, applying pressure. He throws a lot of hooks. He goes to the body. He's good at cutting off the ring. Billy Joe Saunders will be on the back foot against Golovkin. He will expect Golovkin to do what he always does, and that is come forward. So he will be in his southpaw stance, and he'll play the matador. He'll try to outbox Golovkin. Kind of like how Daniel Jacobs tried to outbox Golovkin. Canelo Alvarez is flat-footed. He's not as good as cutting off the ring as someone like Golovkin. Canelo Alvarez is a guy who would rather you come to him so he could counter you and let his punches off, you know? And let his combos off, you know? But when he's forced to cut the ring off and try and catch his opponent, he tends to get outboxed. That's why he lost rounds against Amir Khan. That's why he lost rounds against Miguel Cotto. That's why he lost rounds against Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's why he lost rounds against Araceli Lara, because all these guys, even Austin Trout, because all these guys outboxed him. They all were able to use their, even though some of them, you know, they lost, or some of them, they were able to win rounds against him because they were outboxing him, because he struggles with movement. That's why I believe someone like Billy Joe Saunders and Daniel Jacobs, even Daniel Jacobs would be a nightmare for someone like Canelo or Gennady Golovkin. Now, when it comes to Billy Joe Saunders versus Daniel Jacobs, it's a different story, because Daniel Jacobs is more of a thinker. He doesn't just come forward. He's not just a pressure fighter like that. And what I believe the way to beat Billy Joe Saunders is to be a thinker, just like he is a thinker. Because, you know, Billy Joe Saunders is a kind of a smart fighter. He's a safety first type of fighter. I think if you turn the role against Billy Joe Saunders and you play the safety first type of fighter role, and you play the counterpuncher, I think that's what might give him trouble. I think that's what's going to give him trouble. If you get what I'm saying. If you look at when Araceli Lara fought Austin Trout was always the he was the counterpuncher, right? He was the slickster, right? But then he fights Araceli Lara, and if you look at that fight, Austin Trout was outboxing Araceli Lara. I mean, no, excuse me. What am I saying? What the hell am I saying? Araceli Lara was outboxing Austin Trout. He was playing the counterpuncher. He was doing that, right? And if you look at Austin Trout got schooled, right? Because even though he was good at doing that, when he was fighting someone who did that to him, that's when he came up short, right? Terence Crawford versus Victor Postol. Victor Postol, or Postel, whatever you say his last name, when he was about to face Terence Crawford, he was known for having a really good jab, right? And he was known for being the back foot fighter, right? But then he fights Terence Crawford, right? And he was known, like I said, having a good jab, and he liked his opponents coming to him so he could like outbox them. But when he fought Terence Crawford switched the roles. He became the counterpuncher. He became the guy that fought off the back foot, and he forced Victor Postol to go after him, and Victor Postol struggled in that fight, and he pretty much lost every single round. So that's why I think that's how you beat Billy Joe Saunders. It depends who has the faster foot speed. I mean, if Billy Joe Saunders has the faster foot speed and he decides to fight off the back foot, then he might give Daniel Jacobs problems, because Luis Arias was giving Daniel Jacobs some issues when he was on the back foot, because Daniel Jacobs, although Daniel Jacobs still dominated Luis Arias was being on the back foot a lot. And Daniel Jacobs had to kind of like try and go after him. But let's say Daniel Jacobs has the faster foot speed than someone like Billy Joe Saunders, and he decides to fight off the back foot. Then he would force Billy. Like, that's how I think you beat Billy Joe Saunders. You have to force him to go after you, you know, instead of, because he's usually the guy who outboxes you, and you have to go after him. But let's say you do play that role and you make him go after you. I think when you take him out of his comfort zone, I think that's when you could take advantage and beat him like that. Or of course, if you land on, this is boxing, if you land on the chin and knock him out. Kind of like when Carl Frampton fought Santa Cruz. Carl Frampton is always a slick guy. He's a counterpuncher. But when Santa Cruz in the rematch, when he fought long, and he does good when guys go after him, but when he fought tall and long and he kept it rangy, and he forced Billy Joe Saunders to Carl Frampton to come after him, he took him out of his comfort zone, and that's why he struggles coming forward to Carl Frampton. So I think that's what any fighter has to do to beat someone like Billy Joe Saunders. And Daniel Jacobs, like I say, he's more of a thinker. He doesn't just come in like that, and he's athletic as well, and he's also fast on his foot speed. He was faster than Gennady Golovkin. Also, he might even be naturally bigger than Billy Joe Saunders, because he's about 6'1", and they're always saying that he walks around at like 180 pounds. And also, if that fight happened, that would be like a Frank Warren promotion versus Eddie Hearn promotion, because I know Frank Warren is the promoter of Billy Joe Saunders, and I know Eddie Hearn. I mean, Daniel Jacobs recently signed with Matchroom, right, with Eddie Hearn, so that would be like two rival British promoters versus each other. I don't know how that will work. I've heard that they don't do good business together. I don't know, but yeah, that to me is a good fight and an interesting fight, and that's a fight that will probably go the distance. I don't see anyone getting knocked out in that fight, because I think both of these guys are slick enough to avoid getting hit so cleanly to the face that they'll get like brutally knocked out. That's just what I feel. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think of this fight. It's just my little thoughts on this fight, my opinion. And yeah, McGregor's out. If you watched the whole thing, I really appreciate it. And yeah, out, guys.